Okay, now we are going to begin coloring our fruit still life picture. We are going to be using oil pastels for this. Oil pastels are pretty much like fancy crayons. And I'm going to walk you through coloring the bananas, and then I'm going to let you go and be free coloring the lime and the apple. So you can kind of show me what you got. We're going to be focusing on putting in some shading. That way our shapes, our flat shapes, can become forms, making them look three-dimensional. So if we look at our bananas here, we've got shadows right here, in between here, down here, over here, and then we've got some light, really light spots over here, kind of a lighter spot right here. So if we can use those, that's gonna make our shapes look three-dimensional, look like forms. We're gonna start up here with the part where it comes together in the bunch. And what I want you to do is just to find a brown, and we're gonna start by just kind of coloring this whole thing in with brown. Okay. Now, if you look here, this part is a little bit lighter. We've got our light coming in from over here. So I'm going to come in with a white on top. Kind of draw like almost like a triangle right here. And come in and add some white on there so that it looks lighter. You could even add a little bit of yellow too, because it's kind of yellowy. Okay, then we're just gonna do another, we got a little spot about right there. Just a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. Okay, we're gonna start with this back banana here. If you look, there is greenish brown right there. Got some pretty light yellow and then super light yellow right here. Okay, something I should have added with my pencil when we drew it out is this line between the green and the yellow. So I'm just gonna add that. You don't need to add it right now if you don't want to. I'm just gonna lightly put that in to kind of help me. Okay. So we've got kind of a greenish brown here, yellow here, and then really white right here. What I'm gonna have you do is find kind of like a green and just color lightly right there. I'm not pressing hard, just coloring lightly because we're gonna blend all these together. Then I want you to do a light coat of brown. And then I want you to come with your yellow on top, press hard. And that kind of mixes it all together. If you feel like it's not quite dark enough, you can come back with some brown or a really light black on top. But then again, come with that yellow, blend it all together. Now for this part of my banana, I'm just gonna do some regular yellow here. If your oil pastel ever gets dirty, you can just kind of take a scratch piece of paper and draw on it a little bit to get the dirty parts off. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fill this whole rest of this banana right here in with yellow. And then we're gonna come lighten this bottom part real quick. So I fill it on with yellow. Now I'm going to grab a white. And just on the bottom here, not the whole thing, just on the bottom part, add some white to make it really light. Okay, now we're going to move on to this middle banana. First, we're going to start with this really dark part. It's pretty much exactly how we did it here. So it's going to be right here. And then I'm going to come over and fill in this area right here. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a light coat of green. I'm going to do a light coat of brown. A light coat of black. You gotta be really careful with black. Black is like the Hulk of colors. It's way stronger than everything else, especially a color like yellow. So it's just gonna overtake it. So we gotta be really careful how much black we put in there. Then I'm gonna finish it off by pressing hard with yellow. Not crazy hard that you're gonna break everything, but just so I can kind of blend that all together. We've got another dark area right here. The shadow of the apple is making it really dark. So that's about right here. This whole section. I'm going to fill this whole thing in right here. Same thing. Green, black, brown, all light. And yellow on top to blend. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to do this part right here. It's got just a little tiny bit of green, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this whole chunk right here. And I'm just barely going to press with my green, just to throw a little bit of green in there. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this whole thing and this whole part right here with yellow, and then I'm going to come back on top of my yellow with some white right here. I'm going to clean off my yellow. I'm going to press hard with my yellow over here, but on the part where I'm going to add white, I'm just going to go a little bit lighter. That way the white just has a little bit more room. It can be a little bit stronger. I'm just going to kind of press a little bit lighter with my yellow here. And come back, press really hard with my white here. Ooh. So I got there's a little bit of red on my white oil pastel. So make sure you have nice clean oil pastels by coloring them on a scratch piece of paper. You could do it on the back of your photograph or the back of this paper. Okay, down here we've got this extra part of this first banana that we colored, and that just looks like kind of a regular yellow, so I'm just going to finish that off down there. Okay. Now we're gonna do this shadow right here. This one's kind of funky, so I will get a pencil out and we're gonna draw this shadow out of where it's gonna go. It's got the whole stem. Got a little space right there. This whole stem is gonna be dark. And then I'm gonna draw like a little rainbow right here. This rainbow is this lighter part, so we're not gonna put a shadow in here. We've got the shadow here. It ends about right here. Kind of comes up. And then it goes right along the edge of this banana, right above the line. So we're gonna fill this whole thing in with our green, black, and brown combo, okay? Got that filled in. Now I'm gonna come on top with my white, or with my yellow, excuse me, to blend it all together. And if there's ever anywhere that need to pop and make it a little bit darker, I'm gonna come in right in between these bananas are and make that a little bit darker here, just with my black. Blend it again with my yellow. Okay. This little rainbow that we left can just be filled in with regular yellow. And what I'm going to do here, it's a little bit darker on this bottom part. So I'm just going to come just with brown this time. I don't need the green and the black. And I'm just going to lightly put in some brown. Right there, and I can kind of fade it out. Okay. This whole big chunk of the banana can be colored yellow now. We'll start with the brown. Blend that together. Then fill this area in with yellow. I'm going to add some white up here to lighten up that chunk of the banana. And then I'm just going to add, pressing hard, some brown and some black right here at the bottom. Okay, let's finish this last chunk. We've got a shadow here from the line. It kind of comes out and then down. We're going to do our classic brown, black, and green. Lightly underneath some yellow. The rest of this can just be colored yellow. And we'll take some black and brown here for the end. And you could even use some brown to make some of those little marks that are on bananas. And I'm just going to punch this up just to be a little bit darker right next to this line. We are done with our banana. If there's anywhere that you feel like it's not very smooth, like for me, I don't feel like this is very smooth, you can always go back and you can layer colors back on top, and you can kind of keep mixing it and keep blending it if you're unhappy with it. What I want you to do when you are feeling good about your bananas is you're going to move on to the lime and the apple. Now, I don't want you to just forget everything that we learned and then just color your lime in with one green color, okay? It's much darker over here, so I would do some darker underneath. And then you can kind of mix the darker green, and then over here, we've got some lighter green. You could throw some yellow into there to blend that together. And then there's even a part where it gets really white. Same thing over here with the apple. We've got some darker red. So you could do some brown first, lightly. Blend that with the red. And then over here you can kind of work in a little bit of like red, orange, even some yellows coming through there, and some white on that really light spot. Okay, so you're going to be using oil pastels, using shading to make them look three-dimensional. After you finish coloring that, I'm going to show you what I want you to do next. Okay, so I have everything colored. You can see that I put shading in on my lime here. I've got darker parts over here, lighter parts over here, same with my apple. Then what I want you to do is to take a black and to go around the outside of everything, pressing nice and hard so you have a nice black outline around everything. This will kind of just punch it all up, help kind of define your edges. Okay. If you want to, I went around each banana. If you want to trace these lines, kind of the edges of those corners, how we talked about how bananas have edges, you can do that. That's up to you. Okay. When that's all done, we're going to put in these shadows here. So you can see a shadow here and this big shadow here. And they are gray. If you have a gray, you can use a gray. If not, you can use black and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of outline where that shadow is right here. I'm just going to color with the side of my black. Remember, black is very powerful, so you don't need to press very hard if you're mixing it with something else. And then I can come with my white and even use the side again. And fill that in. Okay, that just really makes our fruit kind of come to life. I'm going to do the same thing over here. This shadow, it's going to come right here, all the way off the edge of my paper. And then the top of the shadow kind of runs into this bottom part of the banana. And then there's just a little part right here that's not in shadow. You can see that little white spot. Okay, so again, I'm going to color on the side my oil pastel. And again on the side here. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to come back and outline this right here. Okay, so if you have time, now you can add a color for your background. You don't have to make it white like this picture is. You can pick one color. If you want to, you can kind of see a line that goes right here and right here. That's separating the wall from the table that this is sitting on. So if you wanted to, you could draw that line in, and you could do one color for your table down here and one color for your background. I only want you to color the background if you have time. If other people are ahead of you, if you're working a little bit slower, that's great. I just need you to get to this point, and that is considered done to me. Just if you have extra time, then you can start filling in your background. Okay, great job. I know this was tricky, but I'm really excited that you tried your best and worked hard on this with me.